How's it going, everybody? This is Caden Q back with another card deck review. Today we are reviewing the Richard Turner Gold Label Bicycle deck. As you can see here, it has a gold, come on if I can close it up here, it has a nice gold label on the front and it says traditionally cut for the professional. So at the USPCC, when they cut cards, they cut them in one big sheet and the blades come down and they chop them. And I don't recall what way is traditional or modern, but all I know is that the direction in which they're cut now, traditional cut, is the opposite. So these are cut in an opposite manner, supposedly to make Pharaoh shuffles easier. Do I agree with that? I'm not sure. You know, I've seen some articles that do show that the way it's cut doesn't really matter, especially after the first Pharaoh shuffle. But some people, including Richard Turner, absolutely swear by it. So you know what? More power to them. I will say right off the bat, I love these cards, and I want tons more so they can be my everyday carry without me feeling bad about it. So let's get right into it. First, we have the Richard Turner, the card cheat little like infographic card here. Let me read it here. I'll turn it around. Tested and approved by Richard Turner. Showdown Creations. He's the cheat right there. Casino quality, traditionally cut. RichardTurner52.com. I will say on his website, he does sell some signed decks of these. They're quite expensive, but it is to be noted, he doesn't sell any regular ones on his website. Kind of strange, I know, but I really appreciate Richard Turner and what he does. I think it's so cool, and I'm really happy that he still has this line of cards available. Okay, so moving on. On the back side, there's actually a testimonial letter by Dai Vernon. It's in his handwriting. It's a direct scan, and I'm going to try to read it for you. Let's see if I can decipher this handwriting here. It says, having seen countless numbers of card experts execute for over 80 years, I consider Richard Turner to be the most skillful. He performs the most difficult moves with the greatest ease. I doubt if anyone can equal him. Sincerely, Dai Vernon, September 16th, 1987. So the handwriting, as you can see, is a little sloppy, but my handwriting is too, so fortunately I was able to do that. The other thing about this deck is that it comes with a beautiful Gaff card. Now, I feel like magicians sort of think Gaff cards are a little gimmicky and maybe don't use them all that much, but I will say, as someone who performs magic just for family and friends, just as a hobby, people are so fascinated by the blank Gaff card. It's just something that non-magicians just don't see every day, and they're just so fascinated by it. So I'm really happy that this is here and I can do some really cool effects with the blank card. The other thing of note is that on this box, there is the original box design with the card logo on the back. So say I remove these stickers, you can sometimes do effects where if you get it just right, no one will notice that there's a card on the back. You could slide off the card. Is this your card? That kind of thing. It just adds for a cool effect. The other thing about this deck is that both jokers are black and white, which I absolutely adore. It is one thing that really frustrates me about the normal Rider-back deck is that one is black and white and one is color, because it really eliminates a lot of really cool effects you can do with the jokers, especially because a lot of people take the jokers out of their decks. They don't always realize there are two where you can just duplicate their card out of thin air, that kind of thing, and they don't really question it. So I really, really enjoy and appreciate the fact that they're both the same color, black and white. This deck is still in deck order, and it is brand new. However, the reason I love these cards so much is not because of how they feel when they're brand new. So I'm going to put this back together, and I'm going to pull out my other used Richard Turner deck, which I have quite a funny story about, but first I'll put these away for you real quick. Just slide them in there like that. And I'll pull out my other deck here. Just like so. Okay, so what makes this deck absolutely amazing for me is the way it feels when it's used. That gloss is gone, that white has turned just a little bit darker, just a little bit dirtier, and this deck feels so great. So I live in an older home, and in one of the drawers I found a few USPCC decks, 808s, with the blue label on them. So if you see right here, most standard decks now, all standard decks now have the black label, and they used to have, if I can find it right here, a blue label on them. So these blue label decks, they just feel, although this is a Pinnacle deck, I believe it's still the same cut, or same card stock. Something about these decks, they just feel so nice and springy and light, and they just move really well, even when they're dirty and heavily used, but obviously they don't make them anymore, and they're kind of pricey. I saw on eBay, like a regular 808 deck was like $50. I know it's definitely not worth that, That's quite ridiculous, but for what it's worth, that's what I found. This deck, when it's used, just to me, just has a similar style and feel. It just feels like it's an older deck. It feels like a traditional deck, and maybe, is that branding? Am I falling for the branding? Maybe, I'm not sure. But it just feels like an older, slicker, more traditional, springy deck. Now, if we go down to brass tacks, this deck is made out of standard B stock. It is thicker than the regular bicycle stock, and I would venture to say, like, if you measure both together, this deck is definitely taller. It feels bigger in the hands. Like, I genuinely feel the difference. And the thing about this thicker card stock is that once it gets broken in and the fibers in the cards get broken in, because it's thicker, the cards don't sog out like a normal deck. So I have a deck, like, I had an old Rider back, just a regular blue Rider back deck in the back of my car, just for a really long time. And after shuffling it for a while and messing with it, it just feels so sogged out. It feels like it's just kind of floppy. The cards don't spring, and it's just no good. But what I absolutely love about this deck is that it gets broken in. It has all the qualities of a beautiful, broken-in, well-worn deck, but it hasn't lost its durability and it hasn't lost its spring. And that, to me, is what makes these cards special. Now, let's see if I can give it a Pharaoh Shuffle. And for whatever reason, I'm having just a little bit of trouble with my Pharaoh Shuffles today. Let's see if maybe I can get one off camera here. There we go. Not the prettiest Pharaoh Shuffle, but look. These cards just have such a perfect spring to them. These are the kinds of cards that, like, if I'm trying to get like the best riffle spring sort of sound effect that I possibly can, let's say I'm trying to show off for a buddy or something, these are the cards that'll do it right here. Just absolutely perfect. And you'll see even after that, they're just a tiny bit bent, but all you do is you flex it back and these cards go right back to normal. I have not had a problem with these cards at all, flexing, bending, creasing in any way at all whatsoever. The durability of this B stock is absolutely phenomenal. I know a lot of people have sung the praises about this Richard Turner Gold Label deck online, and I didn't know if I quite bought into the hype of this deck, but you know what? After messing with it for just a little bit of time, I have determined that I am absolutely in love with this deck. The other thing of note, so, I mean, at this point, I would just say, if you're thinking about buying one, just buy it. It's truly a great deck. The only other thing of note is that I have noticed that, unfortunately, the Gold Label decks, for whatever reason, when the USPC maybe pressed a certain run, maybe the run that went to Penguin Magic, they just did such a poor job cutting these cards. Like, some of these cards here are just so off that any normal person, even a non-magician, if they're paying attention, I mean, they could edge sort these cards like nothing. Let's see if this is the one. Yeah, so take a look at this Joker. It might not show up that well on camera, but seriously, the Rider back is probably a good, like, 10 to 15 degrees, like, cockeyed from the actual white border. It's smaller over here, and it's so fat up here. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no reason the USPCC on a deck that is Gold Label for the professional right on the box should be cut this way. There's no reason. So, to their credit, I reached out to Penguin Magic and I said, look, guys, I don't usually ask for returns. The deck is too cheap to justify me mailing it back to you, but if you're feeling generous, you'll have a customer for life if you just send me another deck. And you know what? To Penguin Magic's credit, they replied to me in 2 days. They sent me the deck, and 2 days after that reply, I had a new one, which is that other one I just showed you in the mail. The cutting, I'm going to be honest, is not much better, okay? It is better than this. There's no card like this in there. But the cutting on that other deck also is not fantastic, which, you know, I mean, it is what it is. I got a free deck. I'm really grateful to Penguin Magic. I will get great use out of both decks, but it is just something to be noted. Gold labeled, gold standard, whatever it is, for the professional, traditionally cut, you would expect them to have a little bit better quality control. That is my only real gripe about this deck. It is seriously an amazing deck of cards. If you're thinking about getting a set and you can actually find them in stock somewhere, please go ahead and get them. They're so great. I got mine at Penguin Magic. I highly recommend Penguin Magic. And I even told them, if you give me those cards, you'll have a customer for life. And a couple weeks later, I bought this nice green TCC playing mat, which I would also highly recommend you get from Penguin Magic. Anyways, this is Caden Q with another deck review. I hope it was helpful. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please put it down below in the comments. If you like this video, like it. And if you want to see more deck review videos just like this, check out my channel and also subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more content coming soon, and I'm also going to upgrade my setup here so it'll look just a bit nicer for you guys on YouTube. Anyways, have a great day. This is the Richard Turner Gold Label 808 Bicycle deck. Have a great day. Thanks.